On this episode of Expat Hoops, we're happy to welcome Madi Torresin. The Pennsylvania native but Canadian national is a 2019 grad of Westchester University by way of UMBC. She's played in Germany, Greece, Portugal, Cyprus, Luxembourg, Australia, and she's currently playing in France's top league, albeit in a separate country, technically in Monaco. Welcome to the pod, Madi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So we'll actually start with kind of the end of your college career, or really in college, I guess I should say. At what point did you think that, that you could play professionally in terms of, making it like something tangibly like, all right, this is going to be my career path? And what did that look like for you?
Yeah, honestly, I've been a ball head for my whole life. And it actually wasn't until my senior year when I decided that this is something I could technically do, because I was injured my whole career, from freshman year to beginning of my senior year. And it was just the senior years when I finally racked up some stats and I had an agent contact me. And that's when I was like, I could take this farther. So there's always been a dream of mine ever since I was a kid. And I just continued with it.
So, I mean, really kind of what was that like in terms of your college career? Like you obviously, started UMBC, good career in college. But dealing with the frustration of injuries and knowing that that's what you were capable of, what was that kind of like in terms of mentally trying to get through that and knowing where you are now that it all wound up being okay?
Yeah. It honestly, as a 14, 15-year-old, it was so tough. Like, I had to deal with ACLs, broken back, broken ankles, all of that. And mentally, I was destroyed, but with family and friends and teammates, they helped me out a lot. And here I am today.
So you mentioned that you did have one agent reach out to you about playing professionally. What was that conversation like at that point in time? And did you just have the one agent to essentially choose from in terms of when you were going down the path of trying to be a professional?
Yeah, it was just one agent. I was going to go compete in a French tournament, and a few weeks before she contacted me, and she told me a team was interested. I didn't even send any stats out. I didn't send any film, and I guess he got a hold of that, and he, as in the coach. And then I talked to my parents about it, and I knew it was legit. So I signed before I ended up going to a summer league in France.
And so what was that first opportunity in which country, and what was the situation like?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but it was in Germany. It was the second division. And I took that as an opportunity to go out there. The agent said, hey, listen, even though it's not the top division, go out there, rack your stats up, get your name out there, and you'll grow. And yeah, it's pretty much what I did. And I loved every second of it.
So your first year, like I said off the top, you're a 2019 graduate. So, we're talking about now the 19 to 20 season.
Yeah.
Something happened in the early 2020s that we call our COVID story that a lot of our guests
Yes.
go through. So before COVID actually does happen, though, and something that I know, at least as of recently, that you do a lot, travel around a lot in the spots that you're at. In your first season, though, when you're in Germany, was that something that you did at that point in time, or were you kind of like a little bit more like, all right, I'm going to make sure, like you said, focus on your stats, focus on playing? What was your approach, at least in the start in Germany?
Yeah, I kind of got caught up in it. I might have taken it for granted towards the middle of the season, because I was like, basketball life, and then being away from home and going to travel, because we had a lot of breaks, so I wanted to see half the world, then I wanted to play basketball, and it did become a lot at once. And then when the COVID happened and we got sent home early, when I was home, I was like, this is what I want to be doing. I want to be playing basketball, So I think that in that prep time, that really helped me focus on, hey, this is what I want to do through the next few years.
So before COVID happens, at least the shutdown of it anyway, what was the transition like for you in Germany? Like, did you have any difficulties trying to adapt to, my family's, several time zones away?
Yeah.
What was that, essentially that learning curve like between dealing with being far away from family and, being a professional?
I don't know. I lived with another Canadian. She was another teammate of mine. And I had a German teammate who spoke really good English. So it kind of felt like I was in college again at the same time, with the FaceTime away from my family. So it didn't hit me too hard. Just because I've always been with college and everything, and just being away from home. It's just something that, I miss my family, of course, but I like being away, doing my own thing. But yeah, I wouldn't say it didn't hit me too hard, but.
So you do eventually, like a lot of other people that are playing overseas during that season, what was your experience with COVID like as it was happening? And did you have any difficulties basically getting back?
Yeah, not getting back into the country, but just with limited access to things and not speaking the language, you're like, what's going on? Or sirens everywhere. And, especially in Germany or in Cyprus the next season after that, on lockdown, it was pretty intense.
Well, that's a really good transition right there. So you do obviously wind up going back after the COVID shutdown. As you alluded to, you go to Cyprus, not exactly a horrible place to have to go to work. What
Right.
was your experience like playing in Cyprus now, technically in your second season?
Yeah, the league, it wasn't too good, but it was the COVID season, we'd say. So I took the first offer I got, honestly. And like you said, it wasn't a bad place to play. I lived on the beach. I was in 30 degrees in the winter, so that wasn't bad. But basketball wise, it was difficult because of the lockdowns and the Greek language, and you couldn't really do much. But yeah, it was difficult. It was lonely, but with the help of your teammates and your coaches, and you're bored from practice, so it helps out at the end.
So were there any notable experiences that you had in Cyprus? Obviously, this is still a period of time where we're trying to figure out what COVID is and when exactly is right to open back up. Or was it pretty much still shut down at that point in time, like post COVID outbreak shutdown?
Yeah, it was completely shut down. We had to text the government, and you had about an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half at night. But I didn't have a phone that could text the government, so I was just leaving and kind of just risking it, but I never got caught. But all my teammates were like, if you leave and you don't have like a text message texting the government, like you're gonna get in trouble. But I just did it. But I just remember that, being afraid of leaving or having an hour to do groceries or something like that. But that was probably the worst part.
In our house, when we use a VPN, we are sure to use NordVPN. NordVPN secures up to 6 devices and is compatible with Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, iOS, and even your Wi-Fi router. Plus, it's no risk to your wallet. Head over to their website for pricing or contact customer support 24/7. And remember, your purchase is always safe with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Click the link in the video description to use our code and make sure you're secure with NordVPN.
After your season in Cyprus still kind of shut down, you wind up going to Greece your next season. Like you said, you were playing in Athens, playing and living in Athens. Take us through what that season was like as you're now in your third season.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was the spring after Cyprus, and I mean, I loved every part of it. Again, I lived on the beach and a 20-minute ride to the Acropolis. So my life outside of basketball was not too bad at all. And the league was great. It's the top league of Greece. So I got to play against some WNBA players, some top league Greek girls. And honestly, it helped me build my confidence and see that, hey, if I'm playing in this league, I can fit in. So that really helped.
I was going to say, this is probably, you spoke the praises of not only being in Germany and Cyprus, but this is probably the first spot in your career where it's kind of all coming together, where you're probably getting to go out a little bit more often. The level of play is, like you said, kicking up a notch. Kind of take us through a little bit like what that's like in terms of how valuable that season was towards everything you've done since.
Yeah, it really meant a lot. With basketball, I struggle with confidence even today. Like sometimes when I get in my head, it's over, but you have to find ways through it. And I think that really helped me because I didn't have a great start to that season, but few friends were like, listen, like you're here for a reason, like you can do this. And as each game progressed, I found the more confidence in myself. And I mean, it all starts on defense and you bring it on offense. So you got to start slow and go up. And with that, and with the season, it really just helps build my character in the game.
And frankly, that's kind of refreshing too, to hear that somebody kind of admit like, oh, I might not necessarily be the most confident, but kind of like exactly how you're able to power through and kind of essentially build that confidence. So that is something. And obviously, as the rest of the seasons have gone on since then, you've continued to play at a high level. But one of the things, we actually had some listener questions that were out of Portugal. Portugal was another kind of pivotal year for you, apparently. where a lot of
Yeah.
people remember what you did, have said, what are you thinking about coming back? But, from the looks of things, you really haven't played in a bad spot. But take us through why Portugal was a good spot for you, not only on the basketball court, but as well as another area where you're getting to travel like off the court and what you're able to experience there too.
Yeah, off the court, I lived in Madeira, so that's itself is just a beautiful country. So much to do. Again, living on a beach, so my agents did well in finding me places to play. But the league itself, I really, honestly, it was a great season for me. Sometimes you have off seasons where one time you're a shooter, you do this and that was just a great season overall. And I would go back there for sure. I obviously wanted to travel more and see the world, but I know I'll probably go back there at some point.
And for the women's league in Portugal, I think we've talked to some of the men that have played in Portugal, and given the nature that the country's small, so it's maybe not necessarily as high of a level for the men. What was the play like? Like you said, the season before you were in Greece, played against some ex-WNBA players. What was it like in Portugal? Was it a little bit different style of play? What was kind of unique about Portugal, if there was anything at all?
Yeah, there wasn't many like top players, but like every foreigner that comes in, you have Americans, you have other Europeans that come in. Like I would say that starting five was really good, and then you have the the role players and all that, which also I like because they're from the town, they're from that area, and they're learning to grow too, and they're looking up to you. So in a way, it also helped me, like, hey, I'm having an off day, but I don't want to show it to the younger girls who look up to you. So I kind of I did like that league a lot.
Thanks to SeatGeek for sponsoring Expat Hoops. We recently became a brand ambassador for them. SeatGeek is a ticket app that takes the confusion out of buying tickets. They offer a 0 to 10 score on each ticket to know if you're getting a good or a bad deal. Green means good, red means bad. You get the idea. It's a really easy way to get tickets to events. Plus, our viewers get $20 off their first ticket purchase with the Expat Hoops code. Click the link in the description to download the app. Remember the code Expat Hoops, EXPATHOOPS, all one word, to save yourself $20 off your first ticket purchase with SeatGeek. We have merch. Head over to the Expat Hoop store where you'll find t-shirts, hoodies, masks, coffee mugs, pint glasses, and more.
It's one of many ways you can show support for the podcast, so head over there and pick up some merch. That link below is in the video description, or you can head over to our website, expathoops.com, and click merch. We offer a couple of different Expat Hoops logos, and we have men's, women's, and kids sizes, so you can get something for everyone.
Post Portugal, you have an opportunity to go play in Australia, which you've now played there twice, two different teams, kind of in the summers. Take us through how that opportunity came about and what it's been like playing summers in Australia the last couple seasons.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be awesome in the summer, but it's actually winter there, but no, it's okay. Australia it was beautiful. The league itself, the first league I played in the north, so that's a stronger league. Really good competition there, and you had a few WNBA players that's played in the league as well. And this past season I played out in Perth in the west, and that was still a great league. Just not as strong, I'd say a little bit more weaker, but it's still competitive and it's growing each season actually. And yeah, I would go back there again in a heartbeat. Summer in Australia, it's a dream for.
Any particular places that you would go to in Australia that were kind of notable for you?
Yeah, I'd probably go to Sydney. I've visited a lot of Australia, but I haven't been to Sydney yet, so I definitely would play there. Yeah.
So in between your stints in Australia, you played in Luxembourg. Obviously, this last season before, it was kind of split between Luxembourg and Germany, but not a lot of people that we've talked to on the women's side have played in Luxembourg. Take us through what that was like, not only living there, but working there as well.
Yeah, it wasn't the best league, but Luxembourg is known to pay well. So I kind of went for the money this time, and I was like, hey, it's around all different countries, I can go to some places, but the league wasn't too high. But each team was allowed 3 Americans, and there were some Euro Cup teams in there as well. So when you play again, when you're guarding and playing against those top players, that made it more competitive, and I liked that side to it. But then living situation wise, it was nice. It was rainy, but it was still a beautiful country to live in as well.
And that was the season, of course, which you didn't necessarily finish in Luxembourg because you had an opportunity come up. You get to go back to Germany
Yes.
this time. So what was it like kind of, I guess this would be the first time that you really went back to a country that you'd already previously played in. So what was that experience like the second time around in Germany?
Yeah, I kind of knew what to expect this time playing in the top division. And I've known some girls on different teams out there. So I was kind of like really excited to, hey, let's get going again, because on the Germany team, there were 12 professionals and none of them were German. So it was people from all over, from the States, from Canada, from all over Europe. So it was actually really cool that we all came together and we played. And it was kind of a competition because in practices and the games, you never knew who was going to play, who was going to get time. And I think that made it just more of a competitive environment because you're like, hey, I want to play this next game. And when you're on the court, you got to make those minutes count, or you're on the bench with, 7 other pros. So yeah, it was a good league. I like that league too.
So as alluded to, you after Germany, you wind up going back to Australia, but we're going to kind of get into where you are now. Again, the places that you get to live and work have been pretty good choices. I'm not really sure how you could do much better.
Yeah.
I'm curious to keep following your career to just see like, oh yeah, that is another good spot to go. But you are technically in the French league, but you are in Monaco, which, small country, very expensive, very pretty though. So take us through what that's been like so far, playing and living in the south of France, albeit in Monaco.
It's crazy. I look out my window and I see the sea, I see the yachts. The living wise, it's like something I've never expected. You see the cars, the luxury out here. It's insane. And then you see me walking the streets with my basketball bag and my sweatpants. Definitely not fitting in, but and basketball wise, we're in second or third right now. So we're having a great season. We have some injuries and all, but I mean, with this break coming up, it's going to help us in the long run. And our goal is a championship. And I don't think I've ever been able to say that with a team out here. So hopefully this season we can bring home a chip. And yeah, if it's something that we win and I like being here, I might try for a second season, which I've never said before either. So we'll see.
Instagram snooping, obviously have seen you do quite a bit in France already so far. If you wouldn't mind taking us through kind of like exactly what your plan has been in terms of like the sites that you've meant to go see and what you have still kind of like on your wish list. Because one of the things actually I think is really interesting about talking to you in terms of what I'm gleaning from Instagram is some people approach, and neither one of them is wrong. Some people approach playing overseas as I have a job to do. I'm going to play basketball. Really doesn't matter to me what's outside my window. I'm going to play. If I'm guessing, if I'm reading your Instagram profile correctly, you're like, I like playing basketball, but I'm also going to get out and see the sights. It's the best
of both worlds. Yeah, of course.
And honestly, that's kind of one of the reasons why we started doing this podcast is we had the idea that like, well, it's got to be cool to be playing in France and, in your downtime, go see certain things or wherever you might be. So like, what exactly has been kind of like on your list so far, like what you've actually been able to do while you've been in France, basically just playing the tourist card here, not the basketball player. Yeah. And what do you have kind of like left on your to-do list for, living and working in Monaco and France this season?
Yeah. Pretty much I've seen most of the south of France. I've been all the way through Nice, the Cannes, over that way. And then I jet skied to Italy. It's like a 20-minute jet ski ride. So I try to do all of that. But on my wish list, when I know we have a weekend off, I'm literally booking a flight. I went to Switzerland about a month ago. I'm going to Paris this weekend. And I'm just trying to see the world. My brother was actually here 2 weeks ago and they went to Vienna, but unfortunately I was sick. So I was supposed to go with them, but Vienna's on my wish list for Christmas for sure. And I don't know, just anywhere out the country. Yeah. Even though this place is beautiful, but you kind of like relate it to basketball at the same time and you're like, okay, I need a break, even though I could walk outside. Yeah.
So you've got quite a bit left. And so
yeah, I got places to go.
Even though your stated preference is probably if you can make a year or two in Monaco or in France, where are some other places that you think you might want to play, whether it's because of the league or things that you want to see and you want to kind of be able to in proximity or live in those countries for a little while?
Yeah, Spain and Switzerland are at the top of that list for sure. Yeah, probably those two places. I got an offer from Finland just before I signed here, and that was an opportunity. I mean, the snow. I'm from Canada, so I love the snow, and just to be up north and see more. I'm down for anything if it's a good league. And it's a pretty location. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, I'm just like, and I'm gonna be 30 in 2 years, and I'm just like, do it while I can, right? And if it's not gonna take me farther, then I'll just try to live my best life out of it too.
Hello, and thanks for watching. Be sure to give the video a like, and you can watch more videos over here. You can also click subscribe over here, so you're notified when we have new content here on Expat Hoops.